This is a 2001 Harley-Davidson Fat Boy. We're going to go over this in a bit of detail, particularly pointing out some of the upgrades from stock. This is a fuel-injected bike, so you don't have to worry about tuning a carburetor. First, we'll start with the handlebars. These are heated hand grips, and there's a dial here that allows you to adjust the amount of heat, and that's right here. These, as you can see, are pistol grip handlebars, also known as rabbit ear handlebars. And let's take a look at it. This is kind of the look that we're going for on this bike with those handlebars, but there's also an added benefit, and that is that having the grip sort of with your fist facing this way is much easier on the elbows than any kind of stock handlebar, regardless of the height. And I have bad elbows, and I can ride just forever on these bars. There is one downside, and that is because they're closer in, you don't have quite as much leverage to steer the bike at very slow speeds, mind you. So this is not a set of handlebars for the faint of bicep, but I can manage these. I'm sure you won't have much trouble. With these handlebars is these long stem mirrors, because the bar is closer in, and so in order to see, the mirror has to come out. This bike still does have the stock mirrors. So let's move on to the ram mount here. The way this was affixed to the bars is with some cloth here buffering the mounting area itself with the bars, so that none of the chrome on the bars would get compromised. Let's go on to this side of the bike here, and you'll see that there is an oil cooler, so that the oil will flow through here, get cooled, and so your bike will be able to run a little bit cooler there. This is a air horn. It's a trumpet style air horn, and the air horns are going to be much louder than stock. And the beauty of this air horn is that the way it's configured, there's no delay from when you press the button to when you get the sound. So that's a nice feature there. You can see that we have the engine guard as well as the highway pegs on this. Moving over here, we also have passenger pegs, and this bike also has a battery tender lead on it. Now back to this side. This setup here is aftermarket. This is a chrome rear strut, and these are aftermarket LED turn signals, but the turn signal also incorporates the brake light. We have a sissy bar here. This brake light, you can remove this. All you have to, I would remove it by detaching the plugs, not cutting the wire, because if you ever wanted to put it back, and then just tucking the wires back up in here. This brake light still works, but if you didn't want to have it, you want to have a cleaner look, you could eliminate this very readily and just use the brake lights on the and within the turn signals. This here is the area for the stock license plate bracket, and this bike still has the stock license plate bracket. I decided to move it over to the side here, obviously because I like the aesthetics of it better, but also from the back you're not going to get pinched by those pesky speed cameras or those red light cameras. This on the side here, though, if you can't mount it side facing on the side, there is a bracket. It's just an L-shaped bracket. It's not an enclosed bracket, but it will allow this to flip, and then the license plate, for legality, depending on your state, could be displayed in this fashion. So that this bike does have that as well. Moving on to the exhaust. The exhaust is not stock. It's a Vance & Hines setup. For those of you not familiar with it, the Harleys don't come out of the factory sounding well like Harleys. They actually sound much quieter. The majority of owners actually upgrade the pipes like so to give it that sound, and we're going to fire it up in a bit. This is a 2-up seat, so you can take a passenger. Seat's in great shape. I will say this about the paint. There is some speckling in areas of the paint. I'm not sure if you can really see it here, but this is a denim black paint job. There is an imperfection here where you can see the original paint, as well as here some of it rubbed off. And then if we get up close, you can see some of the speckling around here in this area. So moving on to this side of the bike, there are lifters in here, and I guess a common problem with some of these bikes is that the lifters wear prematurely. So this bike right now has 47,000 miles on it, responsibly ridden miles. They're all highway miles for the most part. Fluids changed regularly, and this was looked at about just over 10,000 miles ago at 35,000 miles, and 85% of the lifters, there's only like 15% wear on the lifter, so they were still at about 85%. So there's no reason to even check these lifters for another, at least until 75,000 miles or so. Last thing I want to point out is the wheels. So these are spoke wheels. Obviously the stock wheels, which I didn't like, are the solid wheels. I wanted to go to spoke wheels because they're lighter and I think they look better. However, the problem with spoke wheels, or most spoke wheels I should say, is that you have to run a tube in it. Well, the problem with running a tube is that if you get a puncture on the road, now you've got to lift the bike, and it's usually the back wheel, you've got to pop off the back wheel, you've got to work out one side of the tire, replace the tube, and you're doing this, in the hot sun or the cold on the side of the road. That's no fun. These wheels here have the inner seal where the spokes, enter the rim, and so those are sealed. And these tires right now are actually tubeless tires. And the beauty of the tubeless tire, obviously, you get punctured on the road, you pull over, you stick a plug in it, you're back on the road 5-10 minutes later. And that is pretty much everything on this bike. I'm not sure if we went over the tank lifts, but these are 3-inch tank lifts. And the beauty of the tank lifts is that they allow for a little bit more airflow here over the top of this rocker box cover. And so these bikes tend to run a little on the warm side, but then when you relieve some of this space up here, because this tank was like sitting right on top of here, now you got the airflow coming through here, so it runs a little bit cooler, and also it allows you to kind of polish that top off a little bit better. And so that's what the LEDs are going to look like. All right, let's go ahead and fire it up, see what the exhaust sounds like, and see what the horn sounds like. All right, so exhaust first.